There is a particular kind of exhaustion that comes with perimenopause that most women cannot name and most doctors cannot explain. It is not tiredness. It is something closer to losing access to yourself. If you know what I mean, this video is for you. I'm Kira Gibson. I'm a registered dietitian, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and a certified yoga therapist. My clinical work sits at the intersection of nutrition, the nervous system, and women's health through perimenopause. At Santosha Wellness, we provide comprehensive whole person clinical assessments for women who are experiencing what I just described. Now, women who know something has shifted but cannot get a clear answer about what it is or what to do about it. This video is for you if you're in your late 30s, 40s, or 50s, and the person you used to be just feels harder to access than it used to. Now, I want to explain what is actually happening in your body, because once you understand it, a lot of things that have not been making sense will start to make more sense. So let me say more about what I hear from the women I work with, because I think it is really important to name it accurately. Now, they describe feeling emotionally less steady than they used to. Small things start to feel bigger, and recovery from hard moments just takes longer. And patience that used to come naturally is now requiring a lot more effort. They describe a cognitive shift. Words that used to come easily just take a moment longer to find. And holding multiple things in mind at once feels harder. The sharpness they relied on feels less reliable. And underneath all of that, there's often an even quieter thing, a loss of confidence that is really hard to explain because nothing really specific has gone wrong. It's just a sense that the self they built their life on is less available. Now, I want to be very clear about something. These are not signs that you are struggling emotionally in a way that means you need to work harder on your mindset or your attitude. These are signs that something physiological is happening in your body, in your brain, and in your nervous system. And those things respond to physiological support. So, what is actually going on? Well, most of us were taught that perimenopause was about periods becoming irregular and eventually stopping. What we were not taught is that estrogen and progesterone are active throughout the entire brain and body, not just in your reproductive system. Now, estrogen is active in the brain regions that handle memory, learning, and emotional processing. It supports the chemistry behind mood and motivation, and the sense of being engaged with your own life. When estrogen levels begin to shift in perimenopause, that support shifts too. And research has shown that estrogen directly affects the production and regulation of serotonin and dopamine. Those are the neurotransmitters most involved in how a person feels about themselves. This is not a metaphor. The chemistry that underlies your sense of self is influenced by estrogen. And progesterone has a different but equally important effect. It converts in the brain to a substance called allopregnanolone, which supports the brain's primary calming system. Think of it as the nervous system's natural braking mechanism. When progesterone declines, that braking mechanism just gets weaker, and the nervous system becomes more reactive. And things that used to roll off you now land a lot harder, and sleep becomes lighter, and recovery from stress just takes longer. These are neurological changes, not emotional ones. And they're happening because the physiological foundation that supported your brain's regulation has shifted. Now, here is something I want to be clear about because I think it explains why so many approaches to perimenopause produce only partial results. The symptoms of this transition are not separate problems that each need a separate fix. The mood, the cognition, the sleep, the anxiety, the changed sense of self, these are different expressions of the same underlying physiological shift. And the nervous system is central to all of them. When the nervous system is running in a sustained stressed state, cortisol stays elevated. Gut absorption is suppressed. Sleep becomes less restorative. And the nutritional environment the brain depends on starts to degrade. The hormonal transition does not happen in isolation from all of that. It happens inside of it. This is why a woman who is already running a high stress load, whose gut is not absorbing properly, and whose sleep has been poor for years, will experience perimenopause very differently from someone whose baseline systems are well supported. Now, supporting the nervous system and restoring nutritional foundations and addressing gut health, these are not peripheral to the work of navigating perimenopause well. They actually are the work. So, what does support that actually addresses this look like? Well, it starts with gaining a complete picture, not just a hormone panel, but the full physiological context, the nervous system's baseline state, nutritional status, gut health, thyroid function, sleep quality, and the cumulative stress load. Because all of these interact and all of them shape how this transition is experienced. Now, it's from that picture that the work is sequenced. The nervous system first, nutritional restoration as the gut becomes more able to absorb, stress response capacity rebuilt on that foundation. Where additional interventions are indicated, this needs to be coordinated with a broader care team. This is not the same as taking a supplement and hoping. It is not the same as a wellness program. It is a clinical assessment followed by personalized sequenced work that addresses the root rather than the surface. At Santosha Wellness, this is exactly what we do. And I want you to know that it exists because a lot of women going through this have never been told that this level of support is available. Now, this is the first video in a 4-part series on hormones and identity. Next week, we are going to go into something that I think will land pretty hard for a lot of you. The experience of being told that what you are feeling is not real, not significant, or just anxiety. And what the research really says about that. Week 3 is the mechanism, what estrogen and progesterone actually do in the body, system by system. That's the video that tends to shift something for people because the experience suddenly makes sense in a whole new way. And then week 4 is about whole person clinical support for this transition, what it actually looks like in practice, what a real assessment finds, and what the work involves. So if you want to be here for all of that, subscribe below. The full written version of what I covered today is also linked in the description. It includes 5 specific questions answered in depth, including what to do if your labs keep coming back normal. And if you are watching this and really recognizing yourself, I want to leave you with this. You are not breaking down. You are going through a transition that your body was never really properly prepared for. And there is a different kind of support available than what most women are offered. I look forward to seeing you next week.